That was a great presentation. Next, we have the medical category, courtesy of our gold sponsor, Zeus. Zeus is a global leader in advanced polymer solutions, specializing in precision extrusion, catheter design, manufacturing, and assembly, serving medical and industrial markets worldwide. Zeus collaborates with customers to advance next-generation devices and technologies. Through materials innovation and engineering excellence, Zeus enables higher performance, reliability, and breakthroughs that improve lives. We have with us from Zeus today, John Campanelli, Director of Research. So if you could just stand up, we want to say hello and shout out to Zeus there. Thank you. And presenting the medical category finalist, Blood Viscosity, the Next Vital Sign, a wearable breakthrough in trauma, sepsis, and vascular health, is Nilesh Salvi. Oh, you wanted to lower? Can see if this helps.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Viscosity is a tendency of fluids to resist flow. And consider a soda vending machine deploying the milkshake. The thicker fluid, milkshake, will exert excess pressure on the walls, leading to pipes getting worn quickly. The pump will have to work harder, and the tight spaces will always get blockages, so nightmare for maintenance. The blood circulation system is no different. What's going to happen is the tight spaces in terms of blood flow will be capillaries, where the entry site were in vital areas, where if the thick blood cannot get through, it's going to lead to organ failures, strokes, bad news. The pump that's working hard, that's your heart. It's going to grow stiffer over time, precursor to heart diseases. And the pressing against the wall, which is the high blood pressure, which chronically leads to hypertension. Viscosity in reality is driving all this bad news around, but we're not looking for it. We're not measuring it, not because it's not important, because we can't measure it, not the way it matters. So today I'm here to tell you that we have solved that problem. We are basically working with current day methods that require drawing blood, taking it to a lab, subjecting it to a mechanical deformation, which involves instruments that are very expensive. And through this transformation, the sample has been substantially altered. But more importantly, at the same time, the circulatory system, it's dynamic, it's gone, it's changing inside the patient. And so the two things, the sample and the circulatory system, there's very little resemblance between the two. And so the one piece of data that we got through all this ordeal has very little clinical value now. And that's the problem with current systems. With waves, we are basically able to put the sensor on the patient. It's continuously generating real-time viscosity measurements, and it's implemented with off-the-shelf components, no moving parts, very inexpensive to implement, but most importantly, no drawing of blood. And the device basically sends an ultrasound wave, a continuous wave, through the medium, and the resulting signal is analyzed with fundamental engineering principles. No sophisticated algorithms there, no AI involved, no hyper-specialized hyper-manufactured components. So simple hardware, simple software put together. And we have tested it in internal combustion engines at first. We were on our way by basically getting the lowest hanging fruit with this technology. We wanted to measure oil viscosity. Oil is the simplest medium to work with as a Newtonian's liquid. And that design sits in the oil pan of a diesel engine and in real time generates oil viscosity data. Basically, we were trying to guide preventive maintenance. But But we have translated that device over the last 6 years into this wearable device that could be deployed safely, which uses ultrasound, in humans. But it all started with a patent that was granted to University of Missouri in 2020, which was about measuring viscosity in situ without non-invasively using ultrasound, which was a result of my PhD research. And we co-founded it, me and my advisor, we co-founded a company that was basically de-risking that technology for an industrial problem, basically monitoring viscosity in internal combustion engines. But the problem was we had to dip the sensor in the oil. The oil gets dirty, leads the sensor to get dirty sensor being bad for data. And so our goal was to separate the sensor from the oil and still be able to measure the properties that we are interested in. So we basically had to extend our theoretical framework to work across multiple layers. And while we were working that, it was a problem that we referred to as like a sensor fouling at the time, which was very much interested, industry was very much interested in. We were focused on that, two of us engineers. But our clinical friend decided that, he made us realize that how it is relevant to a clinical problem that he's struggling with. So we collaborated and we tested a prototype in rats to monitor the changes in their hemodynamic state when we injected with known fluids. And that was the first time we saw viscosity in action in an organism when it is subject to fluid shifts. And that led to another discovery because of the way experiments were designed. So like we're transferring a known fluid with known composition and known volume and causing measurable changes, which allowed us to see the total volume, the total load under circulation. So we basically have a multi-feature prototype that measures total volume, which was of interest in bleeding patients, when you're losing volume. So, in critical care. So we have a prototype that can be deployed safely in humans with this multiple features. Where do we go from here? Well, the applications are vast, but we want to focus on things that are areas which are recognizing viscosity as a critical factor right currently. So kidney, blood, and critical care. That's where we are currently focused on, where transfusion care is the primary mode of treating patients. And some areas where drug development can be guided, or hypertension, where the connection is established through clinical care, but will still require substantial research to justify use of such technology in that area. So those will be promising yet distant goals for us. So right now we're focusing on renal markets, critical, and hematology. Those are already making shifts towards use of AI-driven, non-invasive sensor systems, but they lack the richness of data, which is missing. So where we can make a lot of contribution, this can make a lot of, this could be a game changer with the kind of granularity, with the kind of, the richness of data, basically, for blood rheology. And more importantly, the technology we have is, there's no serious technical bottleneck. We have a patent in place, and most importantly, there's no other device like this. So if we address this market at this point, we are very likely to make a difference, especially in the addressable market area, where the transfusion care is important. But it's it's guarded by the FDA approval. So instead of, we might bleed out until then. So instead of directly confronting it head on, we want to go for a less guarded, more practical approaches. We want to bring this to research labs to enable more clinical research. with the real-time measurement capability of viscosity. The team is engineers, clinicians put together. Dr. Tan, he hired me as a student years ago, 2011. We've been working together. We published, we went in business together. And now we are very close to, and we have surrounded ourselves with clinical friends in key areas who are helping us recognize the problem. Dr. Fay helped me recognize how the clinical significance of the technology, and Dr. Fergus is when my hands were like elbow deep in engine oil, and Dr. Fergus is supervising our hematology feasibility studies. Dr. Lee is our animal research guy, and we are all guided with experts in MIC to develop a business model. So we are basically leveraging our startup momentum, the customer discovery that we've done, and the SBIR success to basically reach the research markets, and working with an OEM partner to place a consumer product in wellness area. All the data, the early revenues will will support the FDA approval process, while we are also which will be crucial towards integration to clinical and military. And more importantly, it will allow us like a software as a service kind of a product, which is very relevant to pharma labs. And more importantly, beyond business, we are here at an opportunity to make a paradigm shift. We are interested in, don't get me wrong, the impact is pretty clear from preliminary data that it will have on the care. But more importantly, the patterns with the complex diseases like hypertension, where there's no apparent connection made in viscosity, and so the drug development is going in a very different direction. The impact it will have in that area will be substantial. It will be breaking new medical grounds. And that's where we want to make a difference. And that's why we are committed to bringing this to clinicians, researchers, and medics who will help us bring this whole picture of hemodynamics with viscosity at its core. Yeah. Thank you.
So you have a non-invasive test method here, and you tried it on a rat or a mouse or whatever it was. Well, if it's non-invasive, why not just put it on your arm and try it on a human being?
Yeah, we can, but the shifts in viscosity are invasive. So we have to subject the person to an infusion. And to do that, we have to run a pre-clinical study that has to have a IRB approval. So we aren't there yet. The pending support with NIH is going to enable that.
This is great. As an aerodynamic guy in aerospace, why did you not including density?
Actually, the patent is covering density and viscosity. Well, we're interested in viscosity right now. But yeah, it's the product of density and viscosity would lead to a parameter that allows us to focus on it. But the changes in density, they can get a little bit more complex with this multi-phase fluid.
Yes.
So we're going to treat it as a compound factor rather than treating it separately.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
You have a question at the back.
Thank you. It's great that you identified the markets. Thank you very much for doing that. It wasn't in your original write-up. The fact that you've identified the regulatory pathway is great. Have you looked at the reimbursement pathway at all? Because that's going to be instrumental in whether or not organizations will use it.
I'll investigate that.
Okay.
So, blood by itself is Newtonian?
No, it's not.
All right, so non-Newtonian. Mm-hmm. So your measurement, you inject another fluid with it, and there's an expected viscosity shift that you look for?
That's right.
And then depending on what that shift is, it's an indication of a problem or not?
Well, analyzing it in a context of what happened to the patient. If it's a patient that's bleeding, the overall volume drop itself is not going to reflect by itself in viscosity alone. But if it is happening in context of a transfusion, then we know what phase of fluid we are injecting it with. So we expect the viscosity to drop. So it has to be done in a context of what the procedure is, the treatment is.
Any other questions? Oh, sure. Vanessa. Yeah, time.
Do you have a picture of a prototype or how the device actually looks like on a rat? Or on a
Yeah, more importantly, it's more of on a rat.
I mean, you used it on rats, right?
Yeah, I don't have a picture with me, but yes, it's more like a off-the-shelf components, basically held together by a 3D printed harness, and would be fun to watch. I didn't want to put a rat on the wall.
All right. Thank you, Nilesh.